Hello, welcome to New Meta Podcast, episode 95. How have we come so far? Joining me, as always, Mark and Adam. Marco, welcome to the pods. How are you doing this week?
Yeah. Oh, hello. I'm not on push to talk. I was searching for my caps lock. Not on push to talk yet. I'm doing very well.
Excellent. Glad to know that you come prepared for the podcast.
Prepared as always.
Yeah. I'm also playing with fire because usually I would drink a cup of tea. As a true Brit, I'd have a cup of tea with me, but it's been scorching today and yesterday. So I've gone for a refrigerated Diet Coke. Adam would be proud. So
Nice.
that is slightly dangerous because it's just
It's getting late.
Does it have caffeine in Diet Coke?
Yes.
Oh,
Unless it's caffeine-free Diet Coke.
No, it's not. Wow, that's a huge error then. I'm sure it'll be fine. So I'm playing with fire a little bit. Hopefully,
You're going to have to play a dead for this now.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I'm going to definitely have to get a game in. Yeah, I'll be playing Tinker. I'll get a cup of coffee in as well. I'll just play Tinker. Easy. Adam, how have you been this week? Been well?
Good, yeah. Good.
Yeah, good to hear. I don't really have a intro topic like, what Dota hero would you want to cut your hair? Didn't we already do that one once?
Yep.
I can't remember. Yeah, we've already done that one. Okay. So I haven't got one prepared. So I guess just fly into how game's been, right? I mean, Marco, have you managed to get much Dota in this week?
Yeah, I've been smashing the Dota.
Nice.
My girlfriend's not been in the flat, so I've just been having a lot of good times playing Dota 2 instead.
Nice.
It's been pretty good.
I thought you were going to end it right after saying I've just been having a lot of good times. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dota consumption has been above average, but it has been good fun. Lots of guild gaming, lots of activity there. Always enjoyable. Cavern
Marco and I have 11 games together.
Yeah, me and Adam getting games in together. It's good fun.
I have maybe one with Stan. Feels bad.
Maybe two after the pod recording.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, no guarantees. I don't know.
Not even enough for you to show up on the Dota Buff Friends this week. So.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, I mean, my weekends have been, too full, honestly. I need to get, a Saturday. I just need, a Saturday of gaming. Maybe I will get that this week. This weekend.
Pencil it in.
Pencil it in, exactly, yeah. Get it in the diary. Played a little bit, though. Maybe I'll just do my games then. I played mainly Cavern stuff. I played an Underlord. That was Pit Lord is a hero that's close to my heart and a hero that's probably historically been my most successful hero ever, so that was an easy win. For the Cavern, that was a double Cavern, feels good. And then I tried to win with Gyrocopter and it took 2 attempts, one solo unranked failed attempt, and then a really fun 5-stat game where I ended up getting a Satanic and a Rapier, and just that was a sick game. Yeah. Gyro's so fun when you get to that point. Gyro with Satanic, any hero with Satanic is insane, but Gyro with Satanic, and BKB, just they go on you, and if they don't nuke you, you just BKB Satanic with the flak, and you're just one hit and you're 50%, another hit you're 100%, and when you've got Rapier, you just melt. Obviously, you just melt heroes with flak. It's very fun if you can get to that point. Which sort of prompts an interesting discussion about Gyro, because in my mind, he's when I play him, I feel like I have the best success with him when I farm quite hard, but he's generally considered to be quite a tempo carry, as position 1s go, and a hero that you can build to get involved really early. I don't know what your opinions are on that. Is it just a flexible hero?
I think I think it always you want him to be tempo, getting involved with his spells. I'm thinking of IO Gyros, and they farm pretty hard, but then they hard farm, but then relocate him for fights, and that's how they get involved. If you don't have IO, I still think the optimal way is you get him Rocket, whatever result is, call down plus Rocket Barrage kills pretty consistently, every couple minutes, whilst hard farming.
Yeah, I just think you hard farm and you take stacks, and that's in the later game. But it's say you hit level 7, and he's one of those carries that instead of people coming to him, he can TP to the off lane, go down there, drop a call down, drop some rocket barrages, has this big spike of all this damage, then you take a tower, then he sticks down there and farms around, and then maybe he goes into the triangle and takes some ancient stacks. Like that's the type of thing that he does. Well, he just like AFK farm the whole time. He's like, oh, I'm going to show up here, drop down a bunch of magic damage, go back, farm.
Yeah. Most because of the way his kit is, you know, when you look at his spells, 3 of the 4 spells are magic damage spells that are best in the early game. Like obviously, only Flat Cannon is his only really scaling hardcore POS 1 spell. If you're maxing Rocket Barrage and you've got level 1 in your ult, that's like a ton of magic that it's not like scaling spells. So you obviously want to like use it. Just the way his kit is obviously makes him like tempo compared to other POS 1s where a large portion of their kit is just only designed really to scale.
Yeah, I think the optimal Gyro game is like a step function where you do these triple stacked creep camps, clear them, and then you go gank, get a kill, and then do a bit of farm and just kind of rinse, repeat, rather than one of those more like a troll or AM that's just slowly farming all the time, eventually hits a critical mass that they then can get stuck in.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we don't want to go too deep on Gyro. Let's cut it off there.
Yeah. Well, like Gyro's 2 different heroes before and after Ags. I think that's where you leave it, right? Like,
Maelstrom Ags, he farms so fast.
Yeah, and then like every item you get after Ags, it's just like so much more value. Like Satanic Ags, and then Paladin Sword. He's like a heavy item carry, as opposed to like a level carry.
Yeah, it definitely can be a bit scary sometimes if you're going Maelstrom Ags, BKB. It's like that's a long time before you get BKB, and you kind of can just get wrecked in some games without the BKB. So that can be a bit scary, but I think if you do get to the point where you get Maelstrom Ags BKB, you are very, very strong, and then you farm very fast, and you can get those next items quickly, and you just scale well from that point. I would say that's... If you can get to that point in a relatively even game, I really fancy the Gyro's chances. Marco, how have your... Oh, do you have any games you want to elaborate on? You mentioned you played a few. Is there any worth elaborating on or not?
Yeah, there's kind of too many to talk about. When I have like a few games I've played, I'm keen to just deep dive into them because there's just so much on my mind that I need to say. But then when you play so many games, you just flush them out of your mind.
You can give an overview, like what heroes have you played? Because I feel like when I used to listen to some podcasts and I'd always want to know like what heroes are these people actually playing? Do you know what I mean?
Isn't that closer to what Marco hasn't played? Because, you know, we've played 11 games together, but he's played a lot more than that because he plays a couple games before I even, you know, get on because of the time change. So you've played like probably 25 games this week. It's
a big list. Notable shout-outs in there is a Pudge mid, an Earthshaker mid, an Earthshaker off lane as well. There was a safe lane Underlord, was fun. Played a couple mids like OD and Windrunner, the Necro that went well. Necro, dumb hero. Absolutely dumb hero. So I just AFK farmed mid with Necro one game, and you could climb MMR if you want with that. It is just so... You just farm, and then it was one of those like you always talk about. I just turned up to the fight at early 20s with a, what was it, Radials, and the enemy team just throws everything at you and just tickle. And you wipe them, and then just get racks, and that was fun. And then in the last game I played today, I got annihilated by Necro because I was a Ricky. So that made me tilt. Come on, this hero is just so dumb. You go and try and hit a creep, you just get queued and Heartstopper over it down to 50% HP. It's okay, it's over.
Just smokescreen, happy face.
Yeah. So a bit of mix of heroes, a
couple of Drow Ranger in there. Wow, two Monkey Kings as well.
The Drow was like I was tilted by losing the first draw because I played really bad personally, so I was like, I need to redeem myself. I then played really bad the second game, but we were able to salvage. And then the Monkeys, I think a similar thing, like, I can't be losing on Monkeys, so got to roll it again. There's also a quest for that one, I think, of stunning 2 heroes at once. So, thinking about contracts as I'm playing as well.
You didn't get it. I remember you were like, you had to stun 2 heroes like 9 times or something, and we stomped and you didn't get it.
Yeah.
You're like missing, like them in the fountain even.
Yeah. It was good fun.
Nice. Adam, do you have anything worth mentioning? Any hero shout-outs? Do you want to enlighten the listeners as to what heroes you've been playing this week?
So kind of all over, but Nature's Prophet keeps showing up. Either like Nature's Prophet or Beastmaster, because I usually get the kill such and such creeps with summoned units contract. That lends itself to Beastmaster or Nature's Prophet, and then if I get Nature's Prophet, I usually combine it with the Kill Couriers contract, because this easy mode, and it seems like we've been stomping when I play Nature's for some reason, just like get really farmed, and I like that hero because it forces you to be active. Like you have to TP around and make stuff happen, and then you have to TP to the off lane from your off lane, and then like push the tower with your treants. So I like that hero. And I played 2 safe lane games last night and won both with a 5 pudge in both games. Wow. So that's my anti-flame corner, is 5 pudge was picked twice, and we won pretty hard in both, and I didn't tilt, and I just did my...
You played with a smile on your face.
Yep. And so game 1, I played in Ursa. Hadn't played him in a long time. It's funny, it's like that hero is gone. It's definitely had distinct periods where it's been like one of the best carry heroes in Dota, and I never really play it. But then my win rate on it is like 70%, so it's like every now and then I'll just get the hero and stomp with it. But so I got to try the Battle Fury, like the Battle Fury Abyssal S and Y Satanic Titan Sliver build, where you just have all the status resist and no one can do anything to you.
I haven't tried the Ursa Battle Fury yet. Is it fun?
Oh, it feels so good. You just
so strong.
You just overpower and you just 3-shot a wave, like the whole wave with the
cleave. I want to try it.
I was thinking of suggesting Ursa as a pod topic because I feel like it is. Its
so
win
strong.
rate, its pick rate's like 25%. Win rate's 50, around 54, 53.5 or something big. I think it's the strongest one out there. I think it is really fucking good.
You just take Roche. Like I just soloed Roche twice. We just take a fight, and I immediately like run in there and just take it. Don't even need to worry about anything. Battle Fury gives you so much regen, and you just spam. Like you're like a mini anti-mage. Like you press Q just to jump around the map. Just that little bit. Like it's no mana investment. Press the Q.
Is the Q mobility now the reason why Battle Fury's come in? Like why is Battle Fury suddenly like core on the hero?
I think it's a bit of a discovery, to be honest. But
it's good. It's a lot of damage.
Regen, the mana regen is just perfect for us. So even the health sustain is really helpful.
And it's really nice cleave. Like the cleave shape got changed, or like the damage got changed, right? So you're actually doing a lot of damage. Like if you're going on one person and there are like other heroes behind, you're doing a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, I think I remember a while ago when Ursa came back, and to me, the comeback build of Ursa was this 404, where you don't bother with your overpowering. The Q is so strong because it's such a slow, and then you get power treads. That gives attack speed for the Fury Swipe. So this idea of a phase boost Vlad's Ursa just going out the drain. And then after realizing 404 is so strong, and Ursa can kind of just right-click and doesn't have to rely on phase boots and overpower, then I guess people are like, well, why don't we right-click him like a Battle Fury? And it's synergizing
if you're not
so well.
If you're not getting Vlad's, you have mana problem because you don't have mana.
Yeah, you really need something to fix the mana, and Vlad's does it. Sorry, Battle Fury does it.
And he scales so hard because of like level 25 plus 3 overpower attacks. So you get 9 off of 1 W on like a 6-second cooldown or something. And then your enrage is insane. Like it's so good late game because of all the stuns and stuff. Like not a lot of heroes just have natural status resist abilities, and then you'd like build status resist, so you just become
even the
ridiculous.
The abyssal change, I know that's like quite old now, but that is just crime for Ursa all over. And then it's not even like you rush it. I know there used to be a meta where you rushed abyssal, But now it's more that you're a farmer that goes late and you've got SNY Satanic Abyssal and you're untouchable. And yeah, I think he's just the best carry. Best one. It's flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a 45-minute win, and I had 410 last hits and like almost 700 GPM. So it was just like anti-mage numbers off of a bear. But the game I liked even more was the one after. So with the 5 pudge again, and I'm just going to give you an item build and let you guess what safe laner I played. So we got Battle Fury, Blade Mail, then go back for Treads, AC, Heart, Ags, and then I have a Witless Shaco.
Are you a melee hero?
Yes.
And you went Battle Fury, Brown Boots Battle Fury, Blade Mail, Treads.
Blade Mail?
One that doesn't need mana. I don't know. I want to say like CK or like LC or something with the heart. I don't know.
Bounty Hunter or something?
Omni Knight 1. Nah, he'd go Rady.
Give up.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Underlord. Good old Underlord Battle Fury,
nice.
safe lane. Went Blade Mail because they had a
You got
Razor.
Q. You just like Q to farm.
Well,
You can just transition to right clicker.
I want to farm up stacks. I want to get that atrophy aura bonus.
Yeah.
It would Heart and Shaco had like 5k HP
So grim. With the aura, so grim.
with AC, and then I had an Ag, so the atrophy aura bonus was going to my team, and they had repair kit, right? So we got stonewalled on 3 different pushes, but we were able to get some buildings in like Dark Rift out or whatever. And I ended the game with 21,600 building damage, that's a pretty good number. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
Can't do that without repair kit, so thank you.
They need to get rid of repair kit. Come on. It's so dumb. It's just such a... We talked about this before when we did our series on tier whatever items, neutral items. They need to sort that out. I'm not about the...
I mean, that was that game, right, where if there was no repair kit, we would have just stomped and ended, and it would have been, that would have been it. But because there was a repair kit, it goes later, and then they have a Morphlane, and then it starts to get into a territory where this lost game can become salvageable. And it's like, we had Skywrath mid, so, that falls off, and it doesn't really push towers, so it's like up to me to push the towers, and if it... I don't know, I felt like the repair kit just gives you a free 10-minute extension on the game. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, so far this episode we've done games, we've done a mini gyrocopter, we've done a mini Ursa, we've done quite a lot. On a more serious note, though, been a very eventful week in Dota around the sexual harassment scandals and stories that have emerged, sort of like a Me Too moment for Dota. Won't spend too long on it, but it's still very much like a live thing. Still, loads of stuff a lot of stuff's been coming out today, so it's still live. But to spend a little bit of time on it, though, good for the scene, right? A good sort of clean up for the scene. Some stuff's been under wraps for an exceptionally long amount of time. Obviously, any amount of time is far too long. So, well, no doubt this will be good for the scene going forward, and safeguarding and having like a more inclusive, educated scene can only be a good thing, right? Marco, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I mean, it's really just gruesome and just sad what has been revealed this week, and thoughts and go out to those affected is really, really horrible to hear. But I agree that it is a positive for not just the community and not just the industry, but for everyone that's reading about it, to increase that awareness of this kind of issue. Like, you have people like Purge saying, I didn't even understand myself until hearing these stories, just the extent to this kind of issue. So I think it's really good that people are talking about it and becoming like a bit more cognizant of it. And obviously, the people that have done these terrible things don't deserve to be in the scene anymore. So that's an improvement. So yeah, it's a hard time for a lot of people, but definitely we want to like continue the positive change and like continue empowering people and hearing people's stories and helping them get through these times and hopefully come out in a better place as individuals and as a community as a whole.
Yeah, I think so. Adam, do you have anything to add, or do you think we've covered it?
I guess just all I would say is that it's how widespread. It's not just in the Dota 2 community that this has been happening. That like this week, StarCraft 2, Magic the Gathering, Twitch, all over Twitch in general. I guess it's just what should I say? It's like it's good that it's all coming out, and hopefully it just goes to show just how hard it can be for women in society at large. Yeah. And just how widespread this goes, from all the way to Hollywood to our little niche of the internet, that outside of our community that not many people would know about, but it even is into here. It's like anywhere where someone can get like a leg up or a little bit of power, no matter how small their stream is, it can be used to exert it over people. So I just I'm happy that it has come to light, and it really sucks that people that you enjoyed their casting or liked their content, that they were the type of people that would do these type of, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're all pretty much on the same page. And like
but go Slacks. He had a great video. There have been some people that come out where, I'm happy that they're making statements. And like Slacks, I think he said, it's not hard to not be a piece of shit. It's not hard to not sexually assault people. I do it every day. It's like you just have to treat people well. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is. So that's why it's so shocking when it happens to Dota. It's because obviously I believe it or not, I'm more involved in in touch with the Dota community than like Hollywood. So when it happens to your own community, it really is like shocking, and you realize like exactly what you said, how widespread it is across all industries and society and stuff. So moving on though, we have written here Battle Pass shenanigans. Marco, did you add this to the list? Do you have something in mind?
Yeah, man. Did you not see the bundle that came out?
Oh my goodness, I did see the bundle, but I didn't. I read it and then forgot about it.
It's Omega value. I was just looking at the levels, and to get 120 levels normally it's like 45 quid maybe, but this bundle's like 23 quid, and then you get all the immortal treasures. So it really is a value bundle.
I just like how they so normally I think for the past 2 or 3 years there's been an exploit. There's always been in there where you can buy it twice, and Valve was like, you can buy it twice. They just like put it in there like you can buy 2 if you want.
Yeah,
because I guess people would they would buy it through like the Steam, like
buy
one
in game, one
and
Steam,
buy and one in Steam, and they would get it twice. So they just put it to where you could buy it twice. I don't know if you can scam that and do it 4 times, but
that's so funny because last year for definite, Valve knew that the exploit was there, 100%.
Why not? Let people going to spend the money. Just let them spend the money,
Yeah.
But I definitely spent like an hour and a half rolling through 2,500 side shop coins. I felt like my eyes were going to like just rot out of my face. It was so much clicking. Just like, get me out. Like I'm playing Cookie Clicker or something. Just like, this is the worst.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to get on that. I'll have to take a peek into that bundle for sure. I mean, I always get the bundle, so no doubt I will here. One thing I will say, though, this is kind of like a left field thing. I don't know what time we're on here. Maybe I shouldn't be just like adding on these little mini things. But what hero do you want to see win the Arcana vote?
Vengeful Spirit.
Venge has a lot of nice items already.
Yeah. So does all the Arcana heroes now. They tailor the Arcana to be with the cool items. I don't know. I always vote for supports. And I know I don't think they've gone through the bracket twice around now, but I do remember putting everything on Binge and putting everything on Winter Wyvern. And maybe everything on Disruptor one time.
Disruptor would be cool. I reckon they could do some cool things with that. It won't happen though, obviously.
I would like Wyvern to win it because, normally they just throw flames on every Arcana. And I don't think you could, maybe you put blue flames on Wyvern, I don't know. But I guess the only other one that doesn't, well, I guess no. There's enough now that they don't all have flames, but it was kind of that for a while. Lino, Legion.
The hero I would give my love to, good shout, Wyvern and Jakiro. I think they would be cool. I'd probably back those.
Jakiro would be very cool.
Who do we think will win?
Base model's already wonky as it is. Jakiro.
Jakiro's spells look sick. All those fires and ice paths. You could make that look mega sick.
Yeah. Do we have a favourite? I can't remember who came second last year. Ogre won.
Windrunner? Or was it Quap?
Oh, was it Windrunner? It was, wasn't it? I think it was Windranger.
Well, she's getting an Arcana already.
Yeah, she's already got one, yeah. I wonder what hero it will be. I mean, Invoker's always high. I don't think it has enough to win, though, because it's like you either vote for Invoker. There's no one that goes from another hero to Invoker. Do you know what I mean?
Faceless Void made it pretty far. He generally makes it pretty far every year.
I'm surprised. That one to me sounds like the bracket must have really favoured Void, because I don't think you'd say at the start of the run Void Spirit's a fan favourite.
You mean Faceless Void?
Yeah, Faceless Void. I don't think
Void Spirit would be a
Sorry, yeah, Void Spirit would be. So I think the bracket run can influence it.
But looking at the heroes now that don't have Arcanas, none of them jump out to me. I think Void jumps out to me just as much as any of the other ones do, to be honest.
Snapfire would be really cool.
Ember, maybe, but I feel like in lower brackets, Ember's not that popular. And that's where the bulk of the votes are coming from, like Archon, Crusader.
Ember's got a lot of flashy stuff already, I feel.
Yeah. All I know is that there'll be a top 8, and then there'll be one support left, and that's what Reddit will make their push for. They'll be like, everybody vote for this, and then all the pub stomper heroes will still win. And I don't know, I'm just going to rally behind whatever support is left. It would be amazing if like Chen memed his way to getting our Arcana.
That would be sad. I think Valve might intervene and just rig it if Chen got to the final, because
conspiracy is TI7 IO versus Jug in the final.
What's the conspiracy?
Jug won on like 0.5% of the vote. It was like 49.5 to 50.5. IO versus Jug, and like the conspiracy is that Valve made Jug win over IO, because the Reddit meme train was 100% behind IO, and people were expecting IO to win, and then Jug won by the skin of their teeth, and the conspiracy is that Valve made Jug win because he's a much higher. And
Reddit underestimates the fact that they're not the entire internet, or they're not the entire player base of our Dota 2s.
Well, there's China as well. On like all the votes from China, or is that to China get Arcana votes? They must do.
Yeah, so it's just like we have our Dota 2, our tiny little something, and then there's the whole continent of China.
Yeah.
Like this just outnumbers like 200 to 1, of course.
Yeah.
They're going to outvote.
Let's go to the topic of the day, though. It's only taken us half an hour. Wow, we really have a poor track record of these. To try and get to these topics quicker. Who's hosting this thing? It needs to move it on a bit quicker, I think. But how to play in mixed skill games, as relevant as ever with guilds at the moment. That's kind of why we thought of this topic. And plenty of experience in recent times with guilds, with mixed skills. Haven't been playing that much solo ranked, but everyone's playing in parties now. So without further ado, how to play in a mixed skill game. Do we want to talk about picks before we talk about perspectives? Because I've sort of split this into approaching the game when you're a lower skilled player in a stack, how to approach it when you're a higher skilled player, how to approach it when you're sort of in the middle. But before we get that, do we want to just talk about like picks, or do we want to talk about picks within those categories?
Before that, I just want to say that this is my favorite way of playing Dota. It's a 5-man stack of mixed skill. That's my favorite. Not like 5 all immortal or like, divine plus. I like mixed skill. I don't know. It's just fun. It's like, it's not as cutthroat, and I just like it. I mean, it reminds me of playing an RD2L. And I just like, I don't know. I just like the mixed skill. You can get away with other picks. You can play different roles. You can kind of just enjoy the game. Feels like more pure. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like more, yeah.
Solo rank, definitely. I'd agree. If you're playing a solo ranked game, everyone's got to be playing at max capacity, like really strict hero pools, meta, really focused, try hard. So you do play a very restrictive game of Dota because you're trying to play it optimally, like a pro gamer would. But in these mixed party games, as long as it's not too mixed and too volatile, you can loosen up a bit, play a bit looser, different heroes. The games aren't going to be as cutthroat in terms of snowballing and things like that. So I see where Adam's coming from.
Do you think you both have the perspective of being the higher skilled player though? So I think maybe if you're lower skilled, I would say that if you want to have a good impact, you probably want to still have like quite a restricted hero pool.
Yeah.
And also you kind of have to, I don't know, maybe you don't have to try hard, because if you're a lower skilled player tryharding, you're not necessarily going to be doing the things that might be best for your team because you're in a mixed skill game. I don't know, maybe that's the same across the board actually for all the different skills. But just to talk about hero pools, I mean, it sort of goes without saying, if you're a lower skilled player, you kind of want to be picking easy heroes, right? Like ease of execution heroes. We've outlined Ogre and Lich here. Would you agree with that? Like heroes that can sort of simple to lane with and have an impact with and then do things in the game?
I agree with this. So I think, just touching Adam's point about mixed, I think you can have a different range of mix. So like, I like how we've got these 3 categories of, say, the lower skill, then the average of the party, then the upper end of the party. I think in a situation like that, I think the people, the bottom end, should play the heroes that they will be able to make impact with, and given they'll be out of depth, whatever level they're playing at, I don't think they should be experimenting with tricky or unfamiliar heroes, because then they just won't make any value happen, because the game will just be a bit too out the depth. So I agree with a simple hero where simple spells do big value or are easy to execute.
Or a comfort hero.
Comfort as well, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about being this low-skilled player then. I think, are we all in agreement that playing a POS 5, POS 4 is the best position for a lower-skilled player?
It's funny, if you want to try hard the optimal gameplay of a varied mixed stack, then yes. I don't think you always have to shove them on the 4 or 5. I think they could play a 3 and do a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're going to like optimize what the role of the lowest rank player is, then put them on a 4 or 5, someone that's got easy to use spells that do high impact on their own. Yeah. So not something like an IO. I know Vanguard played an IO, and I wouldn't even want to play an IO, even if I was smurfing. Like, I think that hero should just not be touched.
I love that hero, but it's like the most. What I don't know what I want to say. It's like the game is not in your hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very hard to execute.
The game is who you're tethered to. It's in their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also just talking about supports, it's different supports are obviously different skills. Like the reason Ogre and Lich come to mind for me is because Lich, a Chain Frost is like very hard to play around. The Q is very strong, and putting a W on your hero is really your carry's really strong. It's like the easiest execution hero. You can have like very high impact. Ogre's very similar. Obviously, Bloodlust is similar. A buff, a stun, like a slow. A hero that's like tanky is a bit easier. But other supports, like you wouldn't necessarily want someone to be playing like, I don't know, maybe a Shadow Demon 5 or like a Silencer 5 I'd be very wary of. Oracle 5, unless it's comfort. Because these heroes are just way easier to feed on. Like it's less clear how you have an impact. Whereas a Lich and an Ogre, if you just cast your spells and die, like it's fine. Whereas in Oracle, you can't just cast your spells and die, because obviously there's a very specific time where his spells are good. Similar to Silencer, like if you just die at the start of a fight, pressing all your spells, not necessarily good, because like Global Silence needs to be timed well. Whereas Ogre stun and Bloodlust and slow and Lich slow and Frost Shield and ult, they don't really need to be timed as well. You just throw them out there and it's like kind of fun.
Other heroes on this vein, it would be, say, like a Disruptor, even a Wyvern. These heroes, their spells, I mean, I guess they're not single target. Like to execute the Disruptor spells at the right timing and in the right position isn't simple.
With Wyvern, you can negatively affect a team fight. Like you can ruin the fight. The same as a certain someone stealing Chronosphere on a Rubik.
I don't remember that. What are you talking about?
No, but it's like you blow your combo and then just like and then you get a Wyvern ult and it's like there goes all the damage. It doesn't happen. You know?
Yeah.
It's sometimes it can be too big of an ask to put that much weight. But yeah, you also feel bad just making people play hero and like Ogre and stuff.
Yeah.
And Lich. But then like was Aesthetics, doesn't he like pretty much only play Ogre? Is that who I'm thinking of?
That's his go-to 5.
Yeah.
If he plays 5, Fifthful plays Ogre as well, if she plays 5.
And then I forget the name. We played with someone a few days ago, and they picked Jakiro, and it's like Platinum tier Jakiro. It's like, okay, I don't feel bad, suggesting Jakiro if they already have demonstrated they love the hero.
Yeah. Another reason why these heroes are good is because they're strong laners. And when I say strong laners, like ease of execution laners, Jakiro being the best example. You just cast Dual Breath on 1 or 2 of the enemies in the lane, and you're kind of having an above skill level impact, if you understand what I mean by that.
Yeah.
It's so easy, and Lich is the same. You just like spam your Q and trade well. Ogre, obviously, insane armor and regen, just innately is a strong laner. You just run at them with Ignite and stuff. Whereas a lot of these other supports are harder. Like you could even pick another brain dead support like Warlock. It's actually
Warlock's
kind of
fine,
Warlock's fine, but even
no, I mean that's
like,
good. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure. But even when you compare Warlock to like Lich or Ogre or Jakiro, the laning's a bit more tentative. Sure, you can just like spam heal, but if you try and like harass, do you try and harass or not? Or like do you just stand behind the carry? Both are bad. Like there's a mix, obviously. Like if you're a pro player, they're going to do a mix of pulling and pushing and all of this stuff, healing and being aggressive and stuff. Whereas with heroes like Jakiro and Ogre and Lich, it's like really, really easy to get that right. So
I like a point you touch on it's very easy to be aggressive with, say, a Jakiro or an Ogre. And if I'm thinking of myself laning with a lower ranked support, one of the biggest ways they can add value is by doing that aggression, throwing their body, even if they die, but they make space for me to farm and get off to a good start. Like I played with Mr. Warren and he died like 15 times in the game, and quite a few of the deaths were in the laning. But I was a Ricky with 0 deaths and lots of CS because he was just kind of putting his body in the enemy and giving me space in the laning to get that start I need, and that's all I need then to just start the snowball. And it's really, really high value for me him doing that. And even though it's not like a super high level or smart play, for the better lane partner, it's really helpful.
Yeah, to illustrate the point further, there's nothing worse when you're a higher skilled player in the game playing carry, say, or playing 3, where your laning partner who's lower skill is just sort of watching you take harass, and you're going through your regen, you're like taking hits, when it could be them. Like, it could just be them throwing their body on the line. And that's just way better. First of all, that's just better for Dota, for your supports to be having their regen and HP being, negated rather than the carry. And that's exacerbated when it's like a high skill carry and a lower skill support. Like, just getting them tanking stuff, even if they die, like, it's still worth it, like you say. Like, there's nothing worse than, you don't want like your Venge support just like sitting behind you while you're just taking beats.
Yeah, because also if you make that space for your lane partner who's the medium or the high rank, he's in a game or she's in a game where that therefore means they're like maybe above average anyway. So that space and farm they get, they can translate it into something extra good because they're one of these higher ranked people in the game, so they can then snowball. You know what I mean? Like, I'd way rather my support dies 6 times rather than me die once, kind of thing, because my one death is going to be way more harmful than his 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
Extreme points, but quite interesting.
Just to keep on the laning front, but to switch it around to the high skill perspective, Adam, if you're playing a core in either side lane, I presume you'd be quite sad, or certainly I would be, but I don't know if you would be, if your support goes and like pulls the lane without you saying anything. I think, would you agree that
I do that in Immortal?
But
yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about.
You should be in charge of when to pull, right?
Yeah, where I was playing with Saul and he was a troll safe lane against a bristleback Skywrath mage. And I was like, now seems like a good time to pull. I'm just going to pull. And then he just like died under our tower to Bristleback Skywrath Mage. And he's like, yeah, just don't do that. I'm like, yeah, this was immediately, I regret this.
Yeah. Pulling is a dangerous game it's just a dangerous game full stop. So you shouldn't do it unless you
got to communicate it.
You got to communicate it. Yeah.
I think another ideal is that the carry does their own or instructs their own hard camp pulls. So I think hard camp pulls in top or bottom are the most value. So say you're pushing the lane and you need to bring it back, you do that hard camp pull. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and the carry can orchestrate that because they can just go quell and they can literally do the pull themselves. And that's kind of all you need. I don't think you ever really need the support doing one of those safe camp pulls at 15 or 45 seconds because often they fuck you up. Sometimes they're useful. Often they double stack the wave, so that's bad. Like, they just really often aren't helpful, and it's the hard camp pulls are actually the most consistently value. So the carry can just dictate the side pulls.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Looking further beyond laning, though, let's do something that's easy for you two, that's like the perspective of the higher skilled player. In general, in the game, especially before we get to fights, when you approach the game, would you agree that you kind of want to play tempo heroes? Like, you want your impact to be felt, you don't necessarily want to play a hard farmer? I don't know what your opinion on this is, Marco, because I know you like to play heroes like Anti-Mage, but you also like to get stuck in. What's the optimal way to play that balance, would you say, if you're presuming that we're tryharding here?
It's a tough one. I think the optimal, honestly, is I'm a farmer that gets a good lane and is able to get my farm in the early game, and then that then gives me the option to either mid game just roll the farm more, or use my good start to help us in the team roll the mid game by me being involved. So it's hard to say which one is going to be. I feel like you almost have to do both. To be honest, I think it's rare that you'll do the game of complete AFK and then come alive and win. One. Yeah, I think that's rare. When I'm thinking about my experience, say the last couple of weeks, I can think of like one or two cases, like I mentioned the Necro to Stan just before. I AFK farmed as Necro for 23 minutes, and the rest of my team were having lots of little skirmishes, but I was just hardcore farming the Necro, and then I came out with Radials at like 22 or something, and said, guys, just come with me, and we just steamrolled a tier 2, a tier 3 in racks, and they couldn't touch us. But then I'm like, actually, that game is the rare case. I think the more common case is that I get off to a good start, and I'm just you're fighting and farming simultaneously. Also, maybe another way you could say it is if you're playing the 1, you farm more, but try and direct your mid player, I think. So try and make the mid player do the moves that you need as the 1 to farm. So in a bit, you are a bit involved, but like you kind of just AFK farming and telling the mid tempo player where to make space and where to make ganks happen.
I think there's, for me personally, I would say that there's maybe a couple of ways to approach it. I think it's probably better to have your, say, a middling player play like a hard farmer, and then you play a tempo hero that can snowball and can be the top net worth hero anyway. Like if I'm imagining building a mixed skilled draft, I kind of want my highest skilled player to be maybe playing a mid or maybe playing a 1 that's tempo and can get involved, but can also or will likely be top net worth anyway, just because they're the highest skilled and they can sort of snowball and stuff like that. I mean, Lena's kind of so off meta that it just feels gross to even say, but like maybe a hero like Lena that's can flash farm and also can be like very tempo. Carries, I guess, like a Gyro again, but Ursa's probably the best example at the moment, although I guess that's kind of a hard farmer now. I don't know.
Yeah, but say with the Ursa, it's an interesting one. My favourite ones, like an Ursa or a Ricky, I like to go to Fusel Battle Fury if I was playing Ricky, ideally, and an Ursa I'd go Battle Fury as well. So you kind of seen them as hard farmers, and you can go late with these guys and farm late, but they're also 2 heroes that are very strong at fighting. So it's like, how do you actually distinguish between the 2 roles?
But, well, I've got a bit of a better example, I suppose. You definitely you'd be very happy with your highest skilled player on like an Ember, very tempo, and also carry that scales. You definitely wouldn't want them on a Viper that's like, say, just falls off and doesn't really hard farm and is just sort of like more utility and I guess tempo to the max. You'd be happy with your highest skilled player on, say, I don't know, a Slark that's going for an early defusal that can get stuck in a bit more, but you wouldn't be happy seeing them on, I don't know, a Tide Hunter that just sort of like utility and very well, I suppose Tide's a bad example because it's not really a mid or a carry, but just that's sort of like elaboration on the like tempo versus farm conundrum.
I think the point you make about scaling is almost more important than are they tempo or are they farm. I think ideally you're going to do this gameplay of you're farming pretty well, pretty hard, better than everyone else, but also having highest kill involvement because you're being active as well. I feel like that's almost necessity of the guy that's going to carry the team. And actually it's the scaling factor that's more important behind your pick. Because like you say, if you're someone like a Viper that is not going to scale, is he? He's a bit of a timer. You'd feel a bit uncomfortable because if you miss your window, the game's lost. But if you're someone who can scale, you can always kind of guarantee that you've got a chance, and you either crush it at 25, or if not, you can just scale to 45.
Yeah, you want your best player to be the carry at the end of it, regardless of the lane that they're in.
Yes.
Let's maybe talk about this middling skill thing, because probably most people in a stack are going to, rightly or wrongly, consider themselves like the middling skill player. Adam, how do you think a middling skill player should approach the game? They're likely going to be playing like a 3, maybe a carry, maybe a mid, maybe a 4. What do they need to do? Right? I mean, are they just trying to enable their high skilled player? Are they trying to run around with their lower skilled players and help them do stuff so they're not just feeding, or are they playing their own game?
I feel like they're playing their own game.
Yeah.
I just don't treat it like anything different, you know?
Yeah.
Just play it how you would play another one. No, I don't think people should get nervous about playing with people that are higher up and oh no, that means people on the other team are going to be high ranked too, and I'm just going to get destroyed, and then we're going to lose the game, and it's going to be my fault. It should just be, well, this is another game of Dota. I'm going to, play what you have a little more, leniency in what you can pick, but you're not going to go, outlandishly wild. Like, I want to try Meepo this game or something. You're just going to pick what you're comfortable with. And, it just depends on what role you are. I think if you're the 1, it's a lot different than when you're a 3. As the mid lane player, 1, I would be more focused on making sure I get my farm and I'm farming, and maybe you don't participate as much because you want to make sure that your net worth is there. Whereas 3, you definitely want to be playing with the team. Whether that means I corral my 4 and 5 to go with me and I get a gank going while my 1 and 2 are farming, or maybe I bring a 1 or a 2 into it as well and make stuff happen. Definitely just can't be passive.
Yeah, I think if you're this middling player in the stack, I think for a 1 or 5, you play your normal game as if it's just like a ranked or just normal, whatever. But I think if you're like 2, 3, 4, you should be aware of your POS 1. And if I'm assuming this POS 1, say the highest rank in the stack, I think you need to play like to their favor, and you need to kind of be a bit more sacrificial, because at the end of the day, you're not going to carry the higher ranked player, like in terms of who's going to like do the most value and impact in the game. So because of that, you need to enable their game more than they need to enable yours. And even if just ignoring who's the 2 and who's the 1, if you're the 2 or the 3, like whatever you are, 2, 3, or 4, I think you should think, I need to make sure the 1 has a good game, because that's who's going to carry us to win. You could be playing Kunkka and being like, well, in a normal Kunkka game, in my bracket, I can just farm for ages and get a Radiant. Well, look at me, I'm dead strong. But then your 1's had a rough game and you have great farm, but you can't carry it because you're not the highest rank that knows how to carry it. So I think you should be a bit more sacrificial if you're a 2, 3, 4 and think about like helping the strength in your team.
Yeah. Go on. Well, I was just going to say, as someone that's like often a middling skill player, when we play in guild games with people that are lower and also people that are higher, I would say that you don't want ambiguity in like what you need to do in the game, because that's when you can like fuck up. You need to have an impact. Like when you're the lowest skilled player and you're on a 5 and stuff, you just need to like cast your spells and like roughly be in the right place, and you're kind of having the impact, like the requisite impact for your skill. But I mean, maybe that's like way harsh. I don't know, but like more or less. Whereas when you're like a middling skill player, your high skill player needs to carry, like you said, like Marco was saying. They're the one that's going to carry the game. They're going to ones that's going to snowball and go off. But you have to have a role to play in enabling that. Not going to be able to do it solo. So you need to be really clear in your head about like what actually is you need to do specifically to like have that impact. And it's not always going to be sacrificial. That's the example Marco uses is a really good one. Like you could outline and say, I need to be like very space creatory, like more than I normally would be, because I don't know, my POS 1 needs to recover in this game. So I need to just like run it and sacrifice my game a bit to like put them in a position to carry. Or there's definitely been times where I played mid or position 1, say like a POS 1 Naga that I would do sometimes, or like an OD, or even a Monkey King, where I'd like bait myself into trying too hard to get involved in stuff, when actually what I need to do is farm in the mid game so that I just provide some damage, because my POS 1, my high skilled player, is doing all this crazy carrying the game from like a utility perspective, doing stuns, making stuff happen, crazy tempo. But what they really need is for their Naga Siren or their OD to come in at 25 minutes and have very high damage. And if you're like trying to follow your POS 1 tempo high skill person aimlessly and trying to get involved and you're like not doing very well, suddenly you're not able to provide that impact. Another way is say like initiation. If you know that you need to be an initiation for your team, because I don't know, we'll get to this in a minute, but basically I feel the optimal way to play if you're a high school player is to sort of wait for stuff to happen in fights and then clean up, like wait for mistakes to happen and then clean up. So you might be feeling like you need to do like a blink stun build on like your centaur or something if you're a middling skill player, or get a blink on axe, and like that's the most important thing, is like looking for initiations rather than trying to play like some super farmy or like some cut wavesy kind of games. So to bring it back around to what I was originally saying, I really feel like you want to cut out all the ambiguity, because you can sort of, I really feel like, maybe this is a personal thing, but I really feel like if you're a middling skill player, you can kind of get in your own head and like bait yourself into doing things that aren't beneficial to your high skill player.
Yeah,
you want to be you want to be like really clear about what you need to do, because you do need to do something. Like you will need to do something.
Yeah, and often you can get confused and like caught in two minds, and you're in the mid lane and you're like, am I meant to be rotating, or am I meant to be AFK farming, or am I meant to be pushing? And if you don't have that clarity on what your role is, it can go shit. And I think you said OD, also your TA, honestly, if we think about games that we've had and your standard middle-in player in the stack, we've had a lot of successful games where we make it clear we've got 4 other players that are active and doing a lot of shit, and we just need Stan to play this consistent, you farm, mate, you get items, you get your BKB Pike on OD, or you get your Blink BKB on TA, or your 2 items on Naga. You just do that. Don't get involved. Let us do weird shit. Don't think you should get involved. Just do that role and then come and carry. Or like that Gyro game, for example, you were just kind of a bit AFK farming, focusing on the farm, and the rest of the 4, bit of madness, monkey, whatever, and then you come online because you've stuck to your role, and it's really effective. Or the other kind of case is, Stan, I need you to go monkey, and I need you to make space for that farming higher ranked player in the stack. You need to come aggro play, don't AFK those woods, and it's really clear what you need to do, and like, yeah, that clarity is really effective.
Yeah. So, with that said, let's go to something I mentioned in the previous point, which is like fights, how to approach fights. Adam, if you're the high skilled player, would you say that you don't really want to be like initiating? You kind of want to be like on cleanup duty, waiting for stuff to happen in fights, waiting for skirmishes to happen? Or do you want to be like driving them, if you know what I mean, like with your own hero?
That's all hero dependent, right?
Yeah, but is it hero dependent? I really feel
what if you're Magnus? What if you're Centaur or something?
I still feel like if you're the highest skill player on a Centaur, you wait. I don't know.
I generally end up waiting, but I don't know if that's just a subconscious thing where it's like, go on, my minions, tank all these spells for me so I can now go in and do what I need to do. But it's like, there's something to be said for that. It's how does Marco always go like 33-0? I don't know. He's the one that needs to be answering the question. He's the one that jumps in as Ricky and then like kills a bunch of people and gets out on 10% HP all the time.
I think you need one. Ideally, you have one person, maybe 2, that is shot calling, or not even shot calling, but say, for the next 5 minutes, making a call of what you need to do or what you need to achieve. I think it's very common and effective that you could be like, all right, it's 20 minutes into the game. All right, team, listen up. We don't want to fight for 5 minutes. Just let us finish off this item. Let us get this creep wave pushed all the way around here, then this one pushed out here, and then we can think about trying to find a kill. I think that clarity and that kind of direction is really useful, because without it, often you might have just individuals on the team thinking, oh, I'll try and get a kill, or I'll try and make something happen, but actually it's not the optimal action for the team as a whole. So I think that, a bit of shot calling about what you want the game flow to be and when you want to fight as a team. Or I think you can also make calls of, say, you need 3 or 4 heroes to try and make a smoke play happen while someone farms. Maybe that's a call as well, but just general, I think you always want your team to have a general picture of what needs doing and what should be doing, what should be happening. Should you just be farming, playing it passive? Should you be waiting for the enemy to dive and you then rotate? Should you be like, trying to make a fight happen because you just hit a timing? And then it's a bit game hero specific when the fight unfolds, what exactly happens.
Yeah. Talking about fights is always very like a nebulous thing to grapple with. So,
I do think it's really effective keeping your team on a little bit of a leash, saying just wait a few minutes, like really wait. Don't try and make something happen. Don't go strolling off somewhere before we've got the creeps pushed out, and then we meet up and move in this direction and you draw on the map.
After you get strong, after you get an item timing or something.
That's way more effective.
I mean, what if you've had multiple games this week where it seems like you had those 2 games back to back where you went like 51-0 or something? That was
Those are a few stompy ones in a row.
That was Ricky and someone else. I don't remember what other hero you played.
Well, there was a 24-1 PA, then a 31-0 Ricky.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, PA. So it's like those are different type of heroes. I feel like the PA one, you're much more farmy. And then those kills came later.
Yeah, get the Battle Fury.
And then Ricky was like much more kill and farm along the way. You know, different heroes.
Yeah.
But those games felt directed.
I think that's the key. You want direction and you want synergy with the team. You don't want people doing individually what they think's the best thing to do, because at every different tier of Dota, everyone will have a different opinion, realistically, whatever tier. So, go on.
Well, just to say also
communication.
Yeah, communication.
Yeah, communication's everything in life. But yeah, in Dota, it's really important, particularly to communicate getting back and getting forward, because I think people in lower skills, myself included, like don't always recognize we really want to be pushing this tower now, but like because they've now respawned, we now can't be here anymore. Like we've got to get out. Whereas it sort of, you take it for granted sometimes that when you're saying, oh yeah, push here, like be ready to fight here, you take it for granted that everyone realizes, oh, now that they've respawned, we can't do that anymore, or now that this hero's off the map, we can't do that anymore. So it's like really important to sort of direct movement backwards, like into safety and out of safety, because you can definitely leak a ton of kills if, you know, with weird skirmishes happening, if you don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think we can all relate to not knowing exactly what you should be doing, and you feel a bit lost and hopeless in that situation. So I think if you can, as a team, communicate what you need to be doing in the next few minutes, or be drawing where we need to be, or what hero you need to be following, and giving that direction ahead of time really helps.
Or if you don't know, you can ask. That's one of the beauties of being in a mixed stack. If you're the lower player or the mid-tier player and you don't know what you should be doing right now, you can just ask.
Yeah.
And people can tell you. And then you learn. And that's why I like it.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than having loads of people sit mid aimlessly. I know, like, this is something that Marco and me as well
get out of here.
Triggered by all the time. Like, stop! Don't be mid. Don't be mid. Don't be mid. Which is interesting, because why do you think people hang around mid? Why do you think that's a thing?
It's the default lane, isn't it? In your brain, where are you going to walk? Oh, I'll walk to the mid. Like, I get to the center of the map quickest, and it's so attractive.
There's always this tango that goes on between. You'll have 4 people on either side of the river, and it'll be like, well, I feel like I can't leave, because if I leave, then they're going to be at an advantage and they're going to take the fight and take the tower. So I guess I'll just dance around here, and you guys both have a ward, so you guys both see each other, and you just kind of just run back and forth, and no one's doing anything. So because you feel like the second you walk away, it's going to pop off, and you're going to have to come back, and you're going to lose the fight because you TP'd out to lane, which you shouldn't have done. That's how it goes.
Someone needs to write a book on the mid lane. It's very, I don't think, understood. Because if you're in the mid lane and you're showing yourself, you either are an easy pick off because you assume tier 1 towers are dead and you're in the middle of the map. You've got no like rotation protection. You likely not near no one's near you unless they're doing some smoke play behind you. So either A, you're an easy pick off, or B, you showing in the middle of the map tells me you're not going to be able to get to one of those side lanes and help out your core player that I've been waiting in the side lane to then gank and kill. So, okay, what are you achieving by being in the mid lane? No one needs to be in the mid lane apart from if you're nuking the creep wave. So if you can't nuke a creep wave, you should just never be in the mid lane unless you're with another hero doing some gank or something. The mid lane is the dead lane when it comes to the mid game. That lane is just for a sniper to shrapnel and leave, or a Lina to boom, boom, explode and leave. Should never be around it. And then also the mid tier 2, pubs just absolutely love to what's it called, to siege the mid tier 2 like nothing else. I've never seen a more perverse but I don't know, belief in or fun. Dogma. How do people have such fun sieging mid tier 2 when it's so painfully the worst thing you could be doing with your time?
Yeah,
so I always rage about that. Like, stop playing in the mid lane. Why are you trying to push tier 2? Do anything else in the side lanes.
I think an antidote as well to get people to ditch the mid lane as well is that there's nothing wrong with staying in a side lane. People have it in their mind that they'll go one way to top, say, and then nothing really kicks off, so they start walking bottom again, and then nothing really is happening much, so they start walking top again, because they're not a farmer. Like, there's other heroes around farming. They maybe they're a pos 4 or a pos 5 or a pos 3, and they just sort of like waddle back and forth because they're not the higher ranked players in the stack are sort of taking the farm on the side lanes and are way more rapid and are doing their own movement, and then everyone's sort of like caught between two minds of like, oh, I kind of want to be top, kind of want to be bottom, and then they end up doing neither, and end up being mid because of that. So there's nothing wrong with going bottom and just like, or top, or just side lanes, and just like chilling out. Like, it's better, if anything, it's better to wait around there for something to happen than it is to wait around mid, because mid's naturally way better defended because the tier 1s are so close to the lane. Creep waves don't really get pushed that far either way, whereas in the side lanes, creep lanes get pushed in far or not very close to your own towers or very far away. There's much more room to like do stuff. It's just a better place to be. There's more room to gank, etc., etc., etc. So it's just a better place to be in general.
By you being there as well, you can enable your own cause to farm further down the map and safety, gank potential. I think two really basic tips of high value is if you're 4 or 5 in the mid game, firstly, never play in the mid lane. Just write that down on a sticky note. And 2, try and stay out of vision as much as possible. So you go to one of these side lanes, but you don't just sit in the lane showing yourself. You're just in the trees, just out of vision, but near your team. So you're ready and able to connect with spells and make a kill happen, or even just protect them. Those 2 simple bullet points to go a very, very long way.
This is exactly what you just said, but I've written down here for lower skilled players is to try and get to places quicker. That's basically what I mean by saying it's fine to stay in side lanes, because this dancing around mid also means that when something does happen in one of the side lanes, you're not there quick enough because you have to like walk there or whatever. It's much better. You've got a much higher chance of being in the right place at the right time if you're in the right place, because the mid lane's neither the right place nor the right time. Whereas the side lane, it might not be the right time right now, but if you stick around, at least you're in the right place.
Yeah.
And then also the other thing is to say to be safe and be around. So that's exactly what you just said, like be out of vision, basically. It's one thing to be in a side lane surrounded by creeps, enemy creeps, hitting aimlessly. It's another thing to be out of vision. That's just be in the right place and be safe, be out of vision. So that's pretty much that.
On a similar point, thinking about if you're the average person in the stack, I think you've got a lot of responsibility to shove creep waves. And I mean, a lot of responsibility to do a very basic task, which is shove creep waves.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. Just like if you're the middle kind of average person, you're a 4 or 3, maybe even a 2. The biggest value you can add is to not kind of hit these jungle camps that you think's an efficient farm, but to really just get the creep waves out. And that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to add here? Any points that we haven't covered, do you think, on any of these things? High, mid, or low skill in these party games?
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun. I mean, that is the most important.
Well, I think that's what the biggest positive or biggest attraction to the mixed games is that they're the most fun, for me at least. I have the most fun playing them, and these Guild 5-stack games have been really fun. So, faith in Dota restored.
Yeah. Marco, Flame Corner. You're going to send us out with Flame Corner, some opinions on the Forgotten Spirit, I believe.
Time to flame.
shout out to Vanguard. Are we using his clip?
Of course.
Yeah, we should give him a shout out if we're going to use it.
Yeah, we've used it. It's already happened in the past. So yeah, thank you, Vanguard, for that.
Wow, I can't. Back to the Future. I don't know what's going on with this future editing. So it's a bit of a flame corner, I guess, on the Vengeful Spirit. If you see my match history, you'll have seen me play her a couple times, couple red L's. She's a Cavern, so I really wanted to get the win, and eventually got the win with her. My flame is that as a carry, so I guess maybe she's not optimally a carry, but she feels really bad. In the lane, a couple of games, it was really painful trying to last hit with no damage. You've got no attack range. You're a little bit slow and squishy, and it just felt a bit really rough, really, really weak, and it really wound me up how useless she felt in the early game. But then she can transition into a monster. So with the Vengeful Aura, whatever it's called, with the Wave of Terror, you can start hitting like a truck. You just get a massive agi gain. You can start hitting like a truck, and that's really cool. But the flame from that is, I guess it's a flame on the Dota players rather than Vengeful herself, but I feel like she's really misunderstood. I don't know if that's his Vengeful Spirit's fault or the community's fault, but I feel it's really painful when you play Venge, and I guess it's a bit uncommon, and maybe in the one it's definitely uncommon, but she's this truck hitter that can stun from quite far away or can swap people into like a dangerous position. But it's like people don't recognize what her spells do. Maybe it's because you never see her, and or you only see her as this 5 or 4, and you don't really think she does much but provide an aura, and that everyone gets overhyped by how great this illusion when you die is. But actually you forget that you can be a powerhouse and you can get lots of shit done by stunning and swapping, and I just general flame on people not appreciating the power Vengeful Spirit can harness, I guess. So not really a flame on the Venge, maybe just a flame on the population.
Wow, what a ponderous end.
It's a ponderous flame.
Flame the entire population.